I have no idea where this is gonna go, to be honest.
Well, we're about to find out. I think I'm just gonna cut at some point or another for then just start the episode with that. So we're just gonna hop right in. One more time.
We saw the photos, we saw the camera.
I think that's enough of that for now.
Oh, okay then.
You're quite fond of this show, aren't you? Okay, come on. Let's get you down to the observation room. This place must be starting to feel like home to you. Don't worry. Try and get you out of here eventually. Just in here. Okay, are we through in the next room? Just relax and we'll get started in a moment. Right, Mr. Asian, now are you ready? Just hit record on the tape deck in front of you when you're ready.
I will say two things before we go. Number one, pretty sure nobody expected this. Number two, this episode is controversial.
I can say that I definitely didn't expect any of this. That came out of left field.
All right, let's get going.
This is subject 12-19-86-23, new session entry. We have myself, Dr. Alexander, leading, and in a room we have our patient, Mr. James Asian. As we know, James has recently recovered from a 2-week coma following his accident. In our last 3 sessions, James's attempts to recollect events of the accident seen him merging his memory with his imagination. These episodes have always ended in panic, and we've had to terminate the session abruptly. Let's try and do this one better, James. So when you're ready, let's bring this back. I know how difficult this must be, but you can do this. James, it's time to remember. Your mind, it's like a conscious black box. It can show you your memories. Look into it. In your most recent episode, you recalled a false memory of a remote weather station. You were isolated from the rest of the world, locked inside your coma. We interacted with you daily, encouraging you to wake. Your family would do number puzzles with you. Anything really to bring you back. People needed answers, James. Do you remember?
I have another signal here for you, James. It's at 5610 FM. You can't miss it.
Well, let's take a look.
12, 19, 86, 23, 04. Type in the numbers, James. You gotta see this. This is 20F, 12, 19, 86, 23, 04. Type in the numbers, James. You gotta see this. This is 20F.
Report. Well, let's check that out on our... Huh. Looks like this whole thing was a little bit longer before, but let's see what we've got.
Oh no.
Report of traffic accident. Fatal accident. Driver James Ashen. He was injured. Driver name Charles Hennings. Deceased. I've been seen to find 2 cars been involved in a near head-on collision. There was a strong smell of whiskey from the driver and an empty whiskey bottle on the passenger seat. Mr. Ashen was questioned. Oncoming blue sedan out of control. Driver of the blue sedan is an ex-police officer of 20 years. So, we have 20F. Fatal accident. Empty whiskey. Out of control.
Find the signal, James. Listen to the voices. You have to face it, James. Finally.
It's not like it, at all. I've worked with Officer Hennings for 6 years, and not once have we even talked about alcohol. Drunk driving. He was a father, a husband. He was fine. No way he caused this. It's him, this Haitian guy. He's got something to hide.
Okay. Okay.
Doesn't seem right. There's a magazine about the Fichiro and the house abandoned. There's one about Greenland. One about number puzzles.
And some trashy horror video, of course. And something is here with us. Somewhere. Okay, so these are memories.
There's something going on here. A key. Oh, hey. There's that computer. With the orange plaque.
Oh. And a tape.
Yeah, can't quite look at it. Can I click on it?
We found him lying there sobbing while his sister died in the car next to him, while Hennings died next to him. What the fuck was he thinking? She was still alive when we got to her. If he'd have done something, they could all still be here.
Nope. Okay, and this is where I came from. Anything else? Guess this is where we're going.
Ooh. Something's been watching us the entire time through everything.
Okay, we have a 22-year-old male just brought in from a vehicle collision. He was awake and mobile at the scene, but collapsed on arrival to the emergency ward. The other passengers died in the accident. I'm getting no pulse. Prepare for defib. Amp charge full to 10 and give me 100 joules. Come on, 100 joules. Charge amp full to 10. Come on. Clear. No reaction from first stage. Let's try higher. 200 joules. Keep the amp charged at 10. 200 joules. Keep the charge at 10. Let's go. Clear. Okay, we have a reaction of some sort here, a weak signal. Let's keep going. Increase again. 360, charge full. Come on, 360, hurry. Clear. Well, would you look at that? It seems we have a pulse. Rhythm is stable. We need to run an X-ray right away. Where are we with that X-ray? Let's get it going now, please. Looks like an intracerebral hemorrhage. We need to drain this now to relieve pressure. Prepare for trepanation. Switch on a drill, please. The drill, please. Can we get this on the screen, please?
Okay, there we go. I'm confused for a second.
Mr. Asian, you've made excellent progress. You're doing great. We need you to stay calm and try to relax while we go through these next steps. We're going to attempt to alleviate some of this discomfort.
Huh. A party. Okay, and I am in the living room.
We're back in the house, and it's the same, just like it said.
I need to go to the kitchen.
Well, at least it's not a carcass this time.
Yeah. Happy New Year, 1986. meet us tomorrow and we're partying tonight, I'd better hope we have everything sorted out.
But it looks like whatever this going away is, it's something we really have to do for ourselves. After a drink.
Well, there we go. We've gone into the utility room. It did tell us we would be able to go here later.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. We tried our best, Mrs. Asian, but her injuries were too severe. No, I don't understand. I was just talking to her. I'm afraid Jennifer passed away before we could get to her in surgery. We did the best we could. I'm so sorry. Where is she? Let me see her. Please, Mrs. Asian, take a seat. I don't want to take a seat. Let me talk to her, now. I'll arrange for you to see her. In the meantime, James is in recovery. He's stable for now. I don't want to see him.
Don't think we should be driving.
Not after all that whiskey.
That could have taken a bit longer if I didn't know that that's where it was.
I can't look away. 22:05. And we're about to drive someone with whiskey.
Hmm. You see what they're doing here?
This is good. It is. You didn't stop the car, did you? She asks you to slow down.
You're all over the place, James. Pull over. James, for fuck's sake, pull over! James!
It was at this very moment, wasn't it, James? The moment you lost it all. Your sister, your parents, yourself. And then you made it worse. Go on. Show us what you did.
You have to get out of here. You still have the bottle. I have to say, while we're looking at this, on one hand, I know that people have said text adventures are very frustrating, but given what the game is doing, it is working fantastically well.
Yeah, they know the genre. They know exactly what they wanted to use it for. I mean, the only problem is that right now I know what's supposed to happen, but I don't remember how exactly to get there. There it is.
You simply cannot go to jail for this.
I know you. I know you're tearing yourself apart over it, but no matter what you keep telling yourself, you have to listen to me. That accident, that poor man, me. You have to remember. It was all your fault. I know what you did. How you left me there to protect yourself. Planting evidence on some poor man. You went headfirst into that officer and you wrecked all of our lives. And then you couldn't even take responsibility. You did the right thing for you and no one else. Save yourself. Only it was wrong, wasn't it? Look at you now. Utterly consumed by it. Say it, James. Say it. Tell them. Listen to yourself.
Well, I think we've made progress today, Mr. Haitian. I guess we should tell the police what you've told us. Although I don't suspect they'll take you anywhere. I think you'll be with us for quite some time. Come on, let's get you back to your shows. I'll see you tomorrow.
Ooh, that was a trip.
Yeah. So yeah, this ending was quite controversial. A lot of people expected something else from the way the others had been building, the other chapters had been building it up. But really, if you go back, there's a whole bunch of fucking like details laid out that just like how in House Abandon, when you have the second go around, when you go out of the car, you fling open the warped door as if something had collided with the car, and you fall out of the door in that scene.
And
Like it's
yeah,
what the text describes.
and you're told you have to get out. You have to get out the car and get out, get out, get out.
Yeah. And how in the third chapter you were flung out of the door all of a sudden.
That's right. I didn't even realize
And
that.
how and all the way at the very end there was the number station 2, the female voice would say, "James, I can't feel my legs."
Oh my god, you're right.
There's a whole bunch of shit in there that's just, when you look back at it, all the way down, like, I mean, the game drew attention to that in particular, but the text adventure, wrong input message being, "Sorry, I don't understand."
Oh.
Because that was the phrase. Yeah, it drew attention to that. And you know how in the lab conduct there was this one scene that was, in the fucking seizure theater,
Yeah.
where there was one, for a moment there was a woman's face, and then there was a short quiet scene that looked like it had a little bit of a fire.
That's right.
And if you look close, it basically looks like you're looking out of a car window.
I remember in the House Abandoned, so what kind of started making me think is that when you went through the second time, suddenly there was no love here, and you had this warped thing, and just in kind of horror situations, it's like, there's guilt here. There's obviously some kind of guilt. Then we go to the lab conduct, and it's all, I mean, an alien artifact that looks like a heart. There's this massive, like, metaphor. It looks so literal, but there's this thing at the back of your mind which goes, why is this a heart? Why is this still doing this? Why are we going through all this stuff that looks like it's taken stuff from real life? And then the station process is fantastic, because you start getting these glimpses of the other voices you don't understand towards the end, and you have all these meaningless things, and it's like, if you start connecting it back, it's like you've got stations shutting down. That could be, I don't know, it could be a body, a brain, and voices trying to reach you, and you're not sure where they are, and you're not sure where you are, and it's still got you hooked.
Yeah, like, what was it? What I thought of? There was one more thing, like how at the end, or like at some point during the text adventure in the lab conduct, you crawl out of a wreckage, or at first you have to like undo something so you can get out, and then you crawl through a wreckage, and then there's lights all over, and then you see a silhouette, and you go towards the silhouette.
That's right, because that was a silhouette that came up.
It's the exact same scene that James went through when he was in the accident, and he crawled up to like either the police or the medical staff that arrived at the scene.
I think what gets,
of course, also
go on.
The leading researcher in the lab conduct is a Dr. Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just the name of the doctor that is in charge of seeing over the comatose Asian.
And then we also have the 20F motif and the 1986 date that keeps coming back over and over again. And what gets me in all of this, is that at every single time, it's you putting in that input. Like, you are going through all the motions. You have to enter the text. You have to turn on the machines, and there's just a little part of the back of my mind going, we're doing something to ourselves. Like, all this horror, we're controlling it. We are
This is
doing
all
it.
your fault.
It's all your fault.
So yeah, there was a lot of controversy like surrounding this, that a lot of people thought this was a cop out or like a shitty ending to just draw the "it was all a coma" card. But I think it's awesome. It works just right.
I can't think of any other way you could have told this story, because it says it right at the beginning. Was it 4 stories, 1 nightmare?
One nightmare.
And this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare.
In the end, it's a whole bunch of James not wanting to accept responsibility for what it is he did and mixing it up with everything he has at his disposal. All he has is 3 magazines with number puzzles, stories about Greenland, stories about an old text adventure called The House Abandoned, and he's got a shitty horror serial. That's all he's got, and he's mixing it all up just to not try and face reality. But no matter what he does, reality keeps trying to drag him back, kicking and screaming.
So, question for you, because the game is a little vague on this, and I think it works. Do you think these episodes are James avoiding it, or do you think these episodes are the doctors trying to pull it out of him?
I mean, what it is like it said, they're having sessions and they're trying to draw the information of the accident out of him because his sister's dead and the other driver's dead. So there's literally nobody else that could tell them what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
But either he doesn't want to or he can't remember. And so it all mixes up. And I think like these episodes are stories he tells to the doctors. Like they explain in the beginning of the episode 4, where it's like his episodes, the sessions they have, would lead to him mixing fantasy and reality, and they would always end with a panic attack, and they would have to stop it. So that's why they always cut so abruptly. It's because everything just gets messed up in his head, and he just can't handle it anymore. He freaks out, and they have to stop the session.
And the freak out, and you see the freak out in episode 3 again, because at the very end, you fling open the door. Well, he flings open the door, and you're back in the house abandoned, which is where he freaks out.
Yeah, and it's like it's something that doesn't make sense, and it's like, okay, shit. That's the last thing. In the lab conduct, it's just like all the eyes are suddenly there, or like all these alien orbs, and the room is glowing red, and then it's evident that something happens, but it's like he works himself up into a frenzy probably talking about it, and then eventually he just breaks down.
And on top of that, at the very end, well, second half, you go from doing all the stuff with the machines, and then you still go back to a text adventure, because that is still the only way he is eventually processing things. It always goes back to that. Always goes back to the house.
Yeah, because that's where it all happened.
It's effective. I mean, man, it's a roller coaster. It goes from being absolutely horrible to it's sad. And it's really, I find it well done.
Yeah, I say a lot of people want to say that like it's specific. It's a bit odd, like to say that it's super specifically James's fault, but like there's a lot of stuff going on as well that didn't help.
Right. I mean, it didn't
Jennifer
help.
asking him to drive, even though he was very clearly drunk. His dad and his mom openly encouraging the drinking, even giving him, the super hard whiskey.
And on top of that, there was something going on about he really needed this break, so obviously something wasn't going quite right.
Yeah.
But
That he was trying to get away from something, trying to like just mentally reset because there was something in his past that he was fucking up.
and I think if people think that this is about like the game saying it's James's fault, I think they'd be kind of missing the point. It's not that it literally is his fault for absolutely everything. He thinks it's his fault because of what he did. It's his guilt.
Yeah. And what doesn't help is that presumably his parents think the same.
And
the one glimpse we got was his mother not wanting to process that Jennifer is dead. And, the doctor says, well, James, you can talk to James. And she just says, no, I don't want to talk to him. Because they've already, confirmed it in their minds. He was the one that was drinking and driving. He killed Jennifer. And so whatever chance he had at fixing what went wrong before, just completely annihilated. That's what it meant when the doctor said you lost your sister, your parents, and yourself. Because he lost them in a metaphorical sense.
Yeah, to me that line, I'm not sure if that line actually reads as coming from the doctor. It almost is kind of like a line that James is imagining back to himself, just as if the doctor had said it.
Yeah, well, I think it's only there's only, I guess it could be like something he imagined, but I think it's what, every once in a while the doctor cuts in basically saying, okay, you have to come out with it. There's no other way. I think the voice of Jennifer is what he's imagining in himself. That's his own, self-loathing and guilt.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming out through Jennifer. But the doctor's still there. It's just that little bit of tethering back to what's actually happening in the scene. Since he's not actually walking around, he's not actually doing any, he's just sitting in that chair, probably freaking out again, but getting closer every time.
Oh, and I just remembered there was that one chart I was trying to figure out in the station process. It's that chart where it tells you the code for the situation or whatever, and all of them are crossed out. And I just realized that probably explained his physical state. Something like cannot talk, I think, was on there. And
actually, I don't remember that either. There's a couple details here. So basically, there's a whole bunch of secrets also going on that you can find. I don't know if you notice in station process, there's in the radio in the bottom left corner, there's these lines.
Yeah.
In the mess, those are all signals. So there's apart from the signals that you're told to seek out, there's more. And you can find other stuff in there.
That's clever.
And so there's extra information going on that might, do a little bit of extra stuff. I mean, that one tape that I found with the extra content, that wasn't required as far as I know. That's just something extra I found. I don't think that. And let's see. I mean, we're done as far as visual is concerned. So let's see what else we have. Let's check the guide.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a couple yeah, there's 3 cassettes in total in this scene that you can find. So that's like one of the 2 achievements I think I didn't get. Let's see, I got the chart, which was for looking at the chart in the text adventure scene, since that's not something you have to do. Let's see, what else am I missing? I'm missing cleansed. What's that? Let's just check a guide. Let's see, where is that? Chart graphics, correct response, stretch those legs, cleansed. Oh, okay, so there's that's not a big serious achievement.
Okay.
Apparently, in the hospital there is a hand sanitizer,
Oh.
and you can click it and get that achievement. That's kind of cute.
When did this game come out?
Earlier.
Okay.
Let's see, store page. It was released on Steam in 2017.
Okay. No, it's just the cleanse achievement,
Yeah.
At this time is just
That takes on a new meaning, yeah. I don't even know if there's like any guide out here or that even talks about like all the different radio signals.
there's
just a whole lot of
oh god.
stuff in the
I'm wondering if it's anything like what was it? Who was it who did that? Valve did that at some point with Portal when they had some of the radios putting out signals. But you could decode those with what is it? I think an SSTV decoder where you can take a radio signal and encode an image in it. That's what it's making me think about.
Yeah, I don't think it's any ARG sort of stuff.
Oh, good.
I think it's just bonus content. I think I want to say that at some point or another I stumbled across something or somebody did in a video I watched that like has a distress broadcast or something like that. That just kind of adds to the scene it's trying to build. Since whatever it's trying to build, it's some sort of scene of something is fucking up the entire world, and whatever it is, it's taken out everything, and now it's coming for you.
Which
Greenland is the last thing left.
And thematically, on one hand, if it had turned into a kind of alien invasion thing, I could have gone with that. But your whole world crumbling around you is perfectly appropriate.
Yeah, that's sort of the thing. It's like, especially 2 and 3 set up so many things that could have gone all sorts of different ways if they played it straight. But they just played it as a metaphor instead. House Abandoned doesn't quite fit in with that. But then again, it's like you could also see that apart from like the end at Station Process, they're pretty much distinct.
On the other hand, I think it kind of works in another way. So you start at the House Abandoned, and until the very end where the door opens, you still think it's a little safe. It's building up. But it ends. You don't actually get hurt. But then the lab conduct kind of increases that and increases the tension because you got the machines and the drilling and the imagery. And
and like the orb, kind of like whatever the thing it does is it gives you the shot of like the little blood drops down on the floor, and like so whatever is happening to your character at that point, he's getting fucked up in some way.
And then you move on to episode 3, and in the Station Process, you've got the different kind of tension. You've gone from local text game to experiment getting loose to, and now the end of the world. And it's still got this kind of tension building throughout, even if it doesn't seem like it's joined at first. And then it doesn't really fizzle. Like it still feels, I guess I could see why people would think the last session is a letdown, because all that tension has everywhere to go, and you resolve it. And you have to accept that a really shitty thing happened. And that's all that means. It's almost an anticlimax, but at the same time, it ties everything together so well. But
Yeah.
I am glad they put in the help with the text adventure, though.
Yeah, it's kind of neat how just like a little screen with like 3 or 4 little bits and pieces of text just saying try this, do that. It's really all you need. That's just a really neat thing, that it's all so incredibly self-contained. There's just not a lot you're doing when you get right down to it, and that makes it really simple to just play. You don't have to think a lot about playing that much. And if you do, it's more part of building up the tension, like specifically in station process, where you have to like suddenly start thinking, oh fuck me, what's this Morse code? How do I read this flowchart? What do you mean I have to add up the numbers and check if they're larger or smaller than 30? But overall, you're never really struggling with the controls.
There's one thing, though, and I appreciate this because of how this is all sorts of analog horror. There's this little thought at the back of my mind. There are people who are going to look at that floppy disk reader and they're not going to know what it is. And I don't know why. I just find that funny.
Yeah, the old media. I mean, yeah, shit, the fucking cassette player for that matter.
Yeah.
Or the microcomputer. Why the loading screen for the House Abandoned looks the way it does. Why it had to load the black and white image first before overlaying color over it.
You can spoil that if you want. I think I'll keep the mystery for some people.
Well, I mean, that's just how it worked. That was how the loading was. It was incredibly slow and just had to draw that way. That's the screen drawing routines on like some micros.
Well, I gotta say, that was a ride. I've said that before. Thanks a lot for showing me this. You're right. It really, it's something you need to experience the first time, and
yeah, it's like I look at the master list. Ain't nobody done this. Look at the request thread. Search it. Ain't nobody requested it. Well, fuck it. Guess I'm gonna have to do it, eh?
If someone has somehow gotten to me saying this, and it is being said on the video, before playing the game, because you just wanted to see the end comments, play through it or watch through it, whichever you do. Just do it from the beginning. It's worth it.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely like going to just say on like the OP or whatever, just like if this is at all interesting, just play it. It's short. It don't cost a lot of money. You can just get it. Like if I go out and look at like the store page, like how much does this game cost right now? $10.
That's nothing.
And there's a soundtrack. 4 tracks. Huh. I didn't even, well, I guess the title theme that goes for 3.5 minutes. I don't know what the other Let's see. We move together in unison, so I guess that's something to do with the second chapter. You could do this in your sleep. That's something with the third chapter. And utterly consumed by it is probably something with the fourth chapter.
That's right. They did seem to have some unique sound in them. It's just kind of in the background, but it's there.
It's there, yeah. Actually, while we're still talking, do you know Stranger Things?
Unfortunately not. I know of it.
Well, I'm basically at the same position. And it's like, I know the logo looks a whole lot like it. But I'm like, I have no idea if there's more like an intentional connection or if it's just complete happenstance.
But-
That like Stories Untold, the logo that's shown looks a bit similar. Because I feel like I'm not the first one to have noticed that.
It's possible. And I mentioned in some of the past episodes how each of the different episodes reminded me of a different game. And I don't think it's copied or anything, but I think there's definitely some influence, some ideas that came along. It wouldn't surprise
Yeah.
me if
I mean,
Stranger Things was inspiration.
Since after all we got to the point in episode 4 where it was revealed that, Stories Untold is in universe a TV show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I think it has to be, well, I guess it could be like a compilation tape.
Or, I mean,
But-
something Twilight Zone, maybe.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But I mean, that's a TV show, so it's some sort of compilation thing. So that might be like the connection. It's at least something that's on tape.
Oh, God. I'm not going to sleep well tonight. And I love it.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm past that part. Because I have definitely had some phases where I consumed certain types of media, like where the fucking Alex Kansas analog horror videos, when I watched those like all in one fucking go, that wasn't a good idea. But yeah, basically never again am I gonna do it while it's dark out. Not a good idea. I have too hard of an imagination to not to just let that go. This I've seen a couple times before, so it's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. And speaking of which, so I heard things. Pony Island, huh?
Yeah, as far as I can tell, that's going to be the next thing I'm doing. Because it's kind of in the same vein, except it's not. But it's like, well, it's short as well for one, so that's nice. I'm basically just knocking out the entries in my short list that are short and I can get out quickly. I mean, when I'm done with this will be like 4 videos. So
yeah,
that's a quick LP.
Whoever gets to do that with you is gonna be on a fun trip.
Yeah, this is basically the same thing where I'm like, these 2 games, I'm gonna want to have somebody with me that hasn't experienced them before, and it's gonna be fun.
All right, I think I have to end it here for now. So, would you like to say a little ending stinger for the video?
Not particularly. Fucking, I'm terrible with intros. Do you think I'm better with outros?
All right, well, I'll give it a shot. Well, for everyone else who watched this for the first time with me, I hope you had as much fun and fear discovering this as I did, because I can tell you my hands were sweaty at some points. So thanks a lot for this nerve-wracking horror experience that I'm not about to forget.
See you all around.
Oh yeah! Oh, Bowden!
Yes, bonus content. There's a few bits and pieces I wanted to show you that we didn't quite get to in the actual playthrough. I had to re-record some footage for this. First off, episode 1 holds a secret that we didn't see that had an achievement attached to it. If we go to the sister's room and look around, we notice a wardrobe, and if we open that, we find some photos. Looking at them tells us they're all of a forest road at night, and that's just an achievement. So yeah, now that we've gone through the game, this is just another one of those moments of reality breaking through again. Next, there's a few missing pieces in episode 4. We found one tape, but there's a few more we totally missed. Here's one.
He has quite an imagination, Mr. Asian. I guess it's from the shows he's been watching. This time he described an A&E visit as a government conspiracy or some sort of lab. It's interesting stuff. Pure fiction. But I guess it's just his way of coping for now. We'll see how we progress in future sessions.
And here, like I said, is the hand sanitizer. Wash hands, get achievement. Here's another tape we missed in the computer room.
Today was the first session with Mr. James Asian, although I fear it will certainly not be his last. When asked about events that have happened in the past, he confused fact and fiction and told us a story about a computer game that was talking to him. I think he was back at his own house, his mum and dad's house, and he always talked about a room with a red X, one he couldn't get in. I don't know what any of this means or what it's got to do with the accident, but I guess some more sessions will maybe reveal that. We're going to try again tomorrow.
And here's the last tape we missed. Getting those plus the one we already had, and that's just the final achievement I was missing.
You honestly believe that Hennings was drunk at the wheel and not this little shit? If he wakes up, when he wakes up, I want answers. Until then, you handle it. You write it up. I'm out.
Finally, you probably noticed that the footage during the climax was hitching and stuttering and all that good stuff. Well, that was the re-recorded version. What you're seeing now is the original footage. Yeah, that's literal seconds per frame territory. Not good. At least the new footage was a little bit better.
This episode you're having must...
Also, this isn't the end just yet, because there's a little bit of unsolved mysteries, particularly regarding episode 3, that we still need to get to. That'll be the next and final video. See you then.